And we're live. Welcome back for another session of the Wildlands campaign. You guys, I have been so excited to play. I can't wait to get into it. We've got a full complement of people. We're hoping that Danielle can reprise her role as Mavra, maybe an hour into the session. Cross your fingers. Thank you. Rosie's unpacking a box behind me. All is chaos and madness, and this is great. Okay, here we go. Guys, last time, so much happened. It was a very important interstitial sort of session as you returned to the Scarlet Fork Inn and Tavern. Made contact with your de facto manager for your little group of the Wanderers, Clara Swithrana, who is the owner and proprietor of the Scarlet Fork in Westhead. As we return, you spoke to a number of different groups who have been waiting to speak with you in the inn, and we also introduced a new character, Vapos, and all of these, who is a we'll get to that. But all of these people you were introduced to had new threads, or threads, continued old threads, important factions within the town, all of whom would no doubt be more than interested in finding out about or getting the important and vital object that you guys gained access to in the Phantom Gang's hideout. By opening the sewer gate, your background team of commoners, which included Taladar and the man with no screen name. These are their code names because the commoners have to work somewhat anonymously for fear of the lich. Well, you don't know he's a lich, but the strange man in charge, the Duke Rothdal in charge of Westhead, has tightened his grip, including IOG, When Mops Attack, Lion Nation, and a few, including some help from you guys as well, including Bella. You managed to crack, and I apologize to anyone who I forgot to mention in the heat of the moment, but you guys managed to crack the puzzle and open the sewer gate and gain the crown, which, if you check the Super Commoner Discord, you can see the image of what the crown looks like as it floated up from the nether realm in which it was held within the sewer gate by some old and powerful enchantment. Hey guys in the chat. Let's see. Vapos had another thread to add and sought you out partially based on an important item he was carrying. An item that was familiar to several of you, a disc of metal stamped with some strange symbols and writing. Bella has one, as does Frasher and Typha. And every time Vapos would show this item, there was a sort of Frasher noticed something else going on as well. Perhaps that will be followed up tonight. Who knows? The discussion continued after a rest post the strange, well, supposed to the adventure in the sewers. And what else did anything else happen? I think you just agreed to meet, or at least you got a lot of interesting quest threads from various groups in the tavern. Okay. Also, another thing that happened in between sessions is Draco received his secret as partially as thanks for writing up a full backstory. And as always, guys, they're only called secrets because it's something that no one else currently knows. But you can do whatever with them you please. All right. Unless I've forgotten something, we are going to jump into it. You guys are at this moment. There's more unpacking happening. Including, like, there's like a CD out of its case that's like making me nervous. You guys are currently in the Scarlet Fork. You had to rest up some more. You had to speak with Clara, kind of reconnect to get your stuff together. You've had time to count the coins that you have acquired, so you can keep those in a party pot or share them out as you please, but do make sure to notate who has what. I want to know, for my own information after tonight's session, it will be important for me to know who has what and what magic item cards I am owing. What else? Keep getting distracted by the fan being captured by framelits. Oh, in Nico's background. Hey IOG, hey Taladar, you know, screen name. Thanks for coming by. Let's see. What else? You guys have done a lot of things. One of the other things that was mentioned at this moment, you are in the Scarlet Fork, and Bella took her axe into her room late one night and began a conversation with the great bards that is imprisoned within that weapon. And some very interesting information came out of that. If you haven't checked the in-character chat as of yet, we should move that over to the Super Commoner Discord. That would be fun, wouldn't it, Bella? There is a thick mist coming in through the windows, and every time a patron enters the inn, more of it leaks into the merry interior of the Scarlet Fork. This thick mist from the sea, it smells of salt and the ocean, but it hides the lockdown that is currently occurring in the city with these tremendous and intimidating armored warriors with glowing blue eyes posted at every major street corner, carrying these enormous weapons and surrounded by an aura of palpable evil. People are, depending on their temperament, either avoiding them or coming close to defiantly sneer at the 7-foot-tall soldiers, only distinguishable by the different battle scars in their armor. Indeed, as our... Sorry, did somebody say something?
I said that feels super normal.
Right. In fact, as our session begins tonight, you can hear a town crier passing by. Normally the things they are shouting are the prices of fish and other such trivial matters that we don't usually bother with. But this time, the town crier is saying, "Hear ye, hear ye! Curfew in effect beginning tonight. At sundown, no unauthorized citizens to be out in the street. Also, war in the offing against both the Lotus Tower and Sunny Rock Hold. Prepare for recruitment teams." And it continues, repeating as he passes on into the muffling mist. "Hear ye, curfew in effect, beginning tonight," etc.
So we know who the Lotus Tower is. But I don't think we know who the other one is. And that's where
Did the elves tell us about Sunny Rockhold?
It sounds familiar to me.
Mm-hmm. You heard of Sunny Rock Hold. Gosh, I think it was one of the travelers that went with you out of the Lotus Tower. An elf, yes. Perhaps, no, the elves in the inn, is that who you're speaking of? They were speaking of the Mystic Barrow.
Oh, excuse me.
The Myth Barrow. Pardon me. The Myth Barrow. A holy place for druids. Important to this noble family of elves with elvish blood.
Got it.
Kiri's gonna ask the Clara.
Mm-hmm.
Clara. She's gonna go, "Hey, we know what the Lotus Tower is, but what's the other one that they're talking about?"
She says, "You're speaking of the what the town crier just shouted out?"
Yeah.
Well, yes. Sunny Rock Hold is a few days' travel to the southeast of here. It's next to this ancient battlefield. I suppose it was only a matter of time before the Duke's interests collided with theirs. But they're quite powerful, these merchants, and it's a stopping place for travelers when they're not at war with an entirely different place, the Storm Tower, further to the southeast, or Storm Fortress. But they are if there's to be war, it'll be over resources, perhaps even the salt trade.
Okay.
Interesting. Thank you.
She says, you know, between you and me, I think those gnomes, you know, the rebel cell.
Yeah.
They might be they might be connected to some Sunny Rock Hold merchants.
Really? All right. Well, that's good to know. You know them personally?
Oh well, I know.
they're options.
So, what do you guys want to do?
Pardon me for interrupting, friends, but I did want to ask a question. I presume that this group is not interested in becoming involved in this coming war?
I should hope not.
I mean, we
not
just kind of started a small war with the slavers recently, and that already didn't go well and nearly had us trapped for all eternity as gray, soulless slaves, so.
Wait,
Probably not, no. I don't.
hold up. But, like, breath might be.
Well, I only bring this up, and I apologize if this is a bit presumptuous, but the crier did mention some recruiting teams, and given the reputation that the Wanderers now have within the city, I suspect that this group might be one of their first stops.
Yeah, we should probably hurry up with whatever business we have in town.
All right, well, let's just, break into the frickin' Ushjak pyramid and get my dad up then.
Well, hold on. We're not citizens. So I'm not sure if they can take us, except, and he looks over at Breath, didn't they have something on you with your being a were person?
Yeah, if I transform again, we might be in a bit of a pickle, but as long as I'm not near them when I transform, we should be okay, I hope.
No. Didn't you have to sign some document or something saying that you would be available if if the local authorities required your services?
I think it's only if I'm transformed at the time. Bella was the one who had the brilliant insight. I don't remember the details.
Yeah, I mean, it was a stalling tactic, but they do still have some way of. I just don't want to push it further than we have to.
All right, then I propose that we go rescue your father. If I may, I did want to go report the news on the Phantom Gang to my employer. If I could just go do that really quick, and then it shouldn't take too long, and then we can just go rescue your father and get out of here.
Okay. I was being sarcastic because I figured that clearly just waltzing into one of the most heavily guarded and dangerous places in the entire Wildlands wasn't something that everyone would be on board with, but, assuming makes an ass out of me, so that's my fault.
I mean, I may be a money-hungry mercenary, but it sounds like your father's in dire danger. I don't think we should delay much longer in moving on that.
Yeah, you're right. I was talking to Vidani the other night, and he was telling me a little bit of what he knows about the Ishsak Pyramid. And if you were scared of it before, it sounds like a really bad place, you guys. I don't really know. We're going to have to think carefully about this one, more carefully than usual.
Do we have any friends we could call on that could help us infiltrate the place more successfully?
Hey, Vapos, want to come join us infiltrate a pyramid?
Well, I wouldn't want to intrude by asking, but if you are offering a place amongst you, then I would be more than willing to join.
Cool, more the merrier. Alright, I got one.
Good.
Right. Do we perhaps have enough time to, I don't know, gain the favor of one of the groups of people we spoke to and maybe get them to help us? Or is this something that we need to move on? I feel like it's something we might need to move on sooner rather than later. Your father's last message didn't sound very hopeful.
No, well, here's my thinking, is an enormous number of the people who we've made friends with here have been somehow affiliated with the government in the city, whether they're nobility or they're law enforcement or both. But it seems to me that those people would not want to help us because of the incredibly sacred nature of the Ishsak Pyramid to the society, and also the fact that Lord Rothdal's family pretty much has total control over the pyramid and doesn't allow anybody who isn't their friend inside.
Well, then I propose another alternative. We and he kind of speaks in hushed tones as he says, we apparently possess the ability to decide who is going to be the next ruler of this town. Perhaps we could use that as leverage to gain entrance into the ziggurat without any issue. If we basically crown someone here as the new leader, and we ask that they, in return, allow us to go into the ziggurat, I think that might be the simplest way to deal with this issue.
That's a very interesting suggestion.
I mean, it seems like the fastest way to get rid of our Rothdal issue is to make him a non-issue.
I doubt it'll be as simple as that. I'd imagine that he would have something to say about us simply showing up and crowning someone, but it might at least give us some leverage.
At the very least, it will, in my mind, I would imagine, if I'm understanding the politics of this town, the wielder of this item will essentially command its military and its police force. So, at the very least, I would hope all we would have to deal with is Lord Rothdal himself and some of his more loyal followers. But if we were to, it seems that this item is held in very high esteem. If we were to, I wouldn't put it past the people here to completely switch loyalties once the proper ruler has been established.
I mean, I think that someone observed this last time we had a team meeting. Maybe I just made it up, but people who hold power by force usually do so because they know that the moment they stop enforcing it, they won't be in power anymore. So I don't think that Lord Rothdal would have as much support if there was a viable alternative that people could rally behind.
Right. I'm not saying he won't give it up without a fight. I'm just saying it might be an easier fight if someone else has the crown.
Again, I apologize for intruding, but it seems that we are potentially missing a very simple solution here. If we were to give the crown to Rothdal, I suspect he would be grateful enough to release your father. I doubt that his possession of the crown would stop any of the ongoing rebellions against him, but it would incur enough gratitude for us to accomplish our goals, would it not?
Huh.
It's not a bad point.
Yeah, that is a thing.
Haifa hisses and he says, he bad leader. Why
Yeah,
do you want him to leave?
I think that we should, considering we have this incredible opportunity, using it to get my father out is one thing, but I I don't think that I could live with myself if I wound up completely screwing over an entire city just to do that. And I don't think that my father would be happy with that outcome either.
I think I think Vapo's suggestion is not that we necessarily make it impossible for Rothdal to be overthrown. I believe he's saying if we were to give him the crown, we would earn a favor, and then, but it wouldn't change the fact that there are still rebels here that would fight against him, and we could even assist them if we so chose. But the fact of the matter is, in the more immediate, dire need of getting to your father, it would seem that this would be the most straightforward path. It's no reason we can't betray Rothdal when we're done.
Although, don't the pirates have your dad, Bella? Or am I missing something?
I mean, the pirates took my father. I don't know if that means that they currently have him. The thing is, he says he's dark and surrounded by masked people. Or he's in the dark and surrounded by masked people. And we already know that the Ushzak pyramid is full of acolytes in masks. That's the reason for my assumption.
I also might have misunderstood the message, but he did say captain's left. It sounds like the captain has left the pirate captain has left the situation.
I wonder what murder's hat means.
Perhaps he's going to be executed. Or perhaps he's going to be made to murder someone.
Max,
Well-
I have a question, actually. I mean, I'm curious kind of about the ritual surrounding the pyramid. Like, do we know if like you're interring somebody there, that people are able to go for the internment, like to see their loved one interred there? Like, or is it just completely, just no one is allowed in other than the people performing these rites and the guards?
Perhaps Typha asks Clara.
Yeah.
Clara will tell you that yes, absolutely you can go. You could ask Bernard, Captain Sutherland, for more information, but they are masters of all kinds of funerary rites. They know every culture's death rite in the Wildlands, and they will perform the ideal rite. I mean, it's very, much as we might be under the thumb of Duke Rothdal right now, there is a certain hallowed quality to the Gravekeepers, to the Rothdal families. It's an honorable task that they do. They're not just they're not necessarily seen as evil necromancers.
Oh no! I mean,
Duke Rothdal is really more of an exception in that. But again, you can ask Captain Sutherland. He's done a bit of research on it, more than myself. But yeah, they have all sorts of grand rituals based on what you're willing to pay for your relatives and to bring honor to your family. The nobility here in Westhead outdo one another at times in order to gain prestige, I suppose, for their dead grandsire or whoever it is.
My friends, if I may, I believe I have a plan for how we might gain more information on the ziggurat and its inner workings. If you would come speak with me more privately, all of you, so we're not overheard. And as soon as we're somewhere that maybe is a little out of earshot of others, Draco will turn to Typha and say, "My dear, you can transform into animals other than large spiders, correct?"
Oh, yes. Yep.
Excellent. Can you turn
She's very good at crocodile.
Can you turn into something very small?
I can turn into a frog and a rat. Yes.
Excellent. I have recently learned a new spell that allows me to transform as well. And I was wondering if you and I could perhaps go on a bit of a information gathering mission by transforming to small animals and sneaking into the ziggurat unnoticed and seeing what we can find. Perhaps we can confirm whether or not Bella's father is being interred there. And as long as we remain in the forms of small, harmless animals, no one will suspect that anything is afoot.
She clicks her talons together in excitement and says,
It's so much more fun to be a rat when you have friends. Yes, let's do it.
Does this make sense? Does this plan seem to make sense to everyone else? I know it's a bit dangerous, but I think
Normally when I turn into an animal, it doesn't go well. But turning into a rat sounds a lot safer than what happens to me. So I'm all for it.
I mean, that sounds dangerous, but if you're willing to take that danger on, then I think that that's a reasonable try. How much time would we have?
So, Typha, how long can you stay transformed?
give me 1 second. I believe it's 2 hours, but 1 sec. Yeah, twice per day for up to 2 hours per form.
Excellent. Now, I can only stay transformed for an hour, so that would probably be our time limit. But I think the both of us should go in so that we can back each other up. So I think an hour gives us a lot of time to scope the place out and see what we can find. Does that sound all right to everybody?
Sure, yeah.
I think so. Just as long as you guys are careful.
And if something goes wrong, we'll just all barge in and start swinging.
Excellent. Now, the only thing is we need to find a good place to get close enough that we can transform so that we can make up the most of our time without being spotted.
I don't know if this is too whimsical, but do you think that maybe you could do a pre-rat transformation and make friends with someone who could, like, show you around?
Do you mean talk to...
Turn into a rat and talk to another rat, but like a real rat.
I don't know how to talk to animals.
I do.
You can't talk to rats when you're a rat? Alright, well,
No.
regardless.
But perhaps Typha could, since she has twice the time that I have in animal form. Perhaps she could go in first, and we could still go in together. We could still go in together. It's just, but she can do the communication, I suppose. I think this is worth a shot, but we need to get close enough so that when I transform, I'm not wasting time in travel, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
So, we know where this place is, right?
Well, yeah, you can see it from a lot of the city. It's enormous.
Excellent.
Yeah, it looms over the city to the northeast.
Okay. I propose that we stealthily approach the ziggurat, and then once we get as close as we dare, Taifa and I will transform and go inside.
Sounds good.
And once we're inside, I've got a spell I can do up to 2 hours per day, where I can sense the location of any living creature as long as they're within 1,000 feet of me. So if we're able to get inside and wander around, I know 1,000 feet isn't terribly far, but over 2 hours, I think we could probably cover a lot of distance.
So are you saying so that you'd be able to track Taifa and I while we're in there, or?
No, I'm saying once we're inside, if you are able to actually find the location where my father is, I'll be able to track him.
Oh, okay.
So that we can hopefully get in and out in the least amount of time.
Okay. Now, again, my idea for this plan was just as an information gathering mission. I don't think we can't. I'm not sure we would be able to get you all inside by ourselves. Well,
no, absolutely. I 100% agree. While you guys are doing that, I'll stay here and wait for Captain Sutherland and try to talk to him about the pyramid, since he's the only person who we have a lead on so far who seems to know much about it.
That makes sense. All right. All right, Taifa, are you up for a little espionage?
Apologies, but I'm still trying to get accustomed with the capabilities of everyone in the group. Are either of you able to perhaps turn Bella into a small creature, as if she could use her location spell while transformed, then it could speed up the search rather significantly.
Draco kind of looks at you and then just kind of face palms. Of course, that makes a lot more sense. Yes, actually, my spell doesn't have to be on targeting me. It could target you instead, Bella, which actually, as our friend here has pointed out, makes a lot more sense. So I suppose so that you know what I was planning, I was actually planning on transforming into a small insect. So that
like a little spider or an ant or something?
More something that can fly.
Oh, interesting.
To make traversal a bit easier. But also make you more inconspicuous even than a rat. That was what I was going to do for myself, but as Vapos has said, it makes more sense, I suppose, to do it to you. Now, I'm not sure you'll be able to cast spells while in that form, however.
That's something we should find out, because if I can't cast spells, then it seems to me pretty neutral in terms of which one of us.
Well, you know what your father looks like. You know the sound of his voice. You would, if anything, and on top of that...
well, so does Akiri. I mean, she's spoken to him several times.
Well, that's fair. I suppose what matters most is which of us is more capable in battle in case you get caught.
Not me. I mean, I'll certainly go, but searching and deduction and things are not necessarily my strong suit.
Yeah, I'm afraid you can't cast spells while you're transformed. But yeah, so Corey just pointed out that as long as you do that spell if you start concentrating on that spell before I transform you, you can hold on to it.
Okay, interesting.
So I think it does make more sense for it to be you.
All right, I won't fight it. But then who's going to talk to the captain?
I suppose we could always do that afterwards. I mean, again, this is just an information gathering mission. We don't have to necessarily.
It's only going to be 2 hours at most, right?
I mean, actually, only for Bella, you would only have one, so you would actually need to get in and out relatively quickly.
Right. Okay. I can make it happen.
All right. Then I think the three of us will need to make our way to the ziggurat and try to stay hidden. And once we're within sight, I will transform Bella, and then you and Typha can try to sneak your way inside and try to.
A thought occurs to me. We might want to talk to the captain beforehand, because I just got this vision of there being some place inside that has some kind of a magic canceling effect, and two of the squishiest party members being trapped in there and all of a sudden not having their disguises anymore and dying.
I see. Very well then. I think that's good information to know. Then yes, we should probably talk to your captain. It might also be prudent to speak to my employer. He is a professional investigator, and he might have some information on some of the things we're trying to figure out.
Certainly.
But let's start with the captain first, and then we can move on from there.
I mean, I'm just waiting for him to show up in the bar. I asked Clara to tell me if she saw him come in.
I see. Then perhaps it would be best if to save time, I'll go speak to Ratlore myself, and I'll meet you back here, so that we can kill two birds with one stone, as it were.
I'm uncomfy with that.
Especially if we have a. Oh, no offense to you, Akiri. Especially if we have a curfew, apparently, that we need to make sure we're in full. So if no one's opposed, Draco will probably leave and go head towards Ratlore's investigators to turn in his quest and see if he can get any more information on. And if anyone wants to come with me to help me remember what all I need to ask, because I'm probably not going to remember everything, that is fine.
Sure, Kiri will come.
Okay. While you guys are doing that, Typha is going to head towards the ziggurat, and when she finds some rats in that general area, she's going to cast Speak to Animals.
Okay. Let's see. What's going to be the most exciting way to do this? All right. So let me get this straight. There are going to be 3 groups. Is that right? You're splitting into 3 groups.
Yes, Draco and Akiri are going to Ratlore's. Typha went to try to find some rats near the ziggurat to speak to, and everyone else is staying in the tavern waiting for the captain to return to speak to him.
Okay.
Vapos will go with Typha to nurse so that she's got some backup if she needs it.
Yeah, I think that sounds like the most potential for danger. I'd probably go along there just in case something happens.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm here in the bar, waiting to talk to somebody, I don't really expect to run into a whole lot of trouble.
You know what? I'm going to have to write this down. Your party is large enough that that's the only way I'm going to keep track of this. So it's Bref plus Bella going to talk to Captain Sutherland. Right?
No. Bella, as far as I know, I'm by myself.
I guess Frasher's with you.
Yeah, Frasher.
Frasher just silently follows Typha as soon as Typha starts to walk away.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
never mind.
Well, where is Typha going? Okay, so
find
just
rats.
Bella. Bella's talking to Captain Sutherland.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Bella's on her own because she's in a safe environment as far as we know.
Yeah, so
Now
Bella's
making me worried.
Bella's by
Maybe
her-
we should send Mavra with her just in case.
Okay, Bella plus Mavra talking to Captain Sutherland.
Yes, and then Breath, Vapos, Frasher, and Typha are going to check out the ziggurat to see if she can talk to any rats. And then
Plus
Draco. Sorry, I'll let you finish it.
Thrasher. or type it out. Breath plus Vapos plus Thrasher plus Typha are going to case the joint.
Pretty much.
The Ushazak Pyramid. Okay. And then Nico, Draco, and anyone else?
Akiri.
Draco and Akiri are going to the RII Westhead office.
Yes.
Akiri's really curious about this mercenary guild thing. She's like, "Oh, what's up with this?"
Okay, awesome. That covers everybody, I think. Okay, great. All right. Cool. All right, so two things. One, you guys aren't going to be able to leave like that same day. You've got to recover. You've got to, reconnect. So there's we're going to allide time a little bit here, and a couple of days are going to pass before you can really mount these investigations and expeditions. Unless you just want to wander around the city covered in sewer water and blood, which, you could.
Kind of normal for us.
But that might not be. That might not. Well, you really, Clara's not going to let you anyway.
I picture Clara irritated washing Thrasher in the street, with a hose, essentially.
Right.
Whatever the medieval equivalent of spraying a dog with a hose is.
Right. So keep in mind, guys, we are going to probably have some amount of downtime. Party coming up on some downtime. And there is a handout on here that contains the downtime actions house rules. And you can ask questions about it or whatever, but be aware that have something that your character will want to do during downtime. And you don't necessarily have to come up with the answer. We can figure it out later if it's not massively story impactful. We can probably figure it out after the session even. But just keep that in mind. Number 2, we are going to... oh my god. Yeah, don't stand on that. Well, thank you for unpacking the boxes, but don't unpack them onto the floor, okay? And don't climb on them. The second thing is we're going to try something very interesting here, which is always a challenge, and especially so when we have a very large party, which we do. We are going to be jumping from scene to scene in a dramatically cut way. So we're going to try that. And then before we head into that, we're going to take a short break. Hopefully, that will give, if we take a 5-minute break, hopefully it'll give Danielle time to join us, and then Mavra can fully play for the first time in a long time, far too long. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to go into that. And that'll give me a chance to think about how to run it as well. All right, guys. We will be back in 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Hang up,
Also,
folks. A lot of fun stuff about to happen.
This infiltration plan is brought to you by Exalted.
That amazing intro video brought to you by the awesome Taladar, of course. Intro animation. Yeah, Rosie, we have a goblin in our house going through all our things right now and making sure that they are on the floor. So there may be, the normal level of interruptions, folks. Welcome back to the Wildlands campaign. I have a headband, which designates me a journeyman wizard and or beautiful princess. And we are getting back into it here. So, Danielle just leveled up. We have Mavra back in the game after her player unfortunately had a long absence, but that is the point of this experimental time slot, and if it works out, then we're going to keep doing it at this time so that we can have all our awesome players. Here we go. Okay. So, you guys split up into 3 groups. Belle and Maver are going to talk to Captain Sutherland. Bref and Vapos and Frasher and Typha are going to do reconnaissance at the Ushazak Pyramid, which looms over the city of Westhead through the thick sea fog. Yeah, that's Abba's, that's my Dungeon Master screen. Draco and Akiri are going to the Ratlor's Investigations Westhead office. And I think that we are going to start with you guys. So, over here, no, not the Wildlands map, but the map of Westhead. Here in the less reputable part of town, but still within the walls, almost in the shadow of the distant but enormous pyramid, there is a... Trying to focus. Rose, you know what? Just keep digging for treasure, kid. Just keep digging for treasure in there. There is a dive bar. Called the Colossal Steed Bar and Grill. And it has a sort of a set of stairs going down below it. And renting that space is a mercenaries outpost. Office for Ratlor's Investigations, Inc. Might need to make the color of this more visible. The office also has a secret entrance that Draco was briefed about below the 7-foot tall statue of a riding lizard of the Eastern Mountains, which is the colossal steed symbol. And the pair of you, Draco and Akiri, slip down the narrow steps and find yourselves in a cramped space in front of a door. Upon knocking, a eye slit opens, and a pair of unusual amber-colored eyes peer out from within. Who goes there?
It's me, Draco Wormfang, and a guest.
The eyes kind of slowly go over the pair of you.
And I kind of I flash my little badge that has the RII logo on it.
Okay.
Akiri waves.
I cannot find a color that's visible on this, but...
Oh, I
Like
straight thought you were cycling through the color scheme, like the color wheel. I was about to be are you cycling through that? Is that an effect you can do?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a color that's going to be visible, but whatever.
Try blue.
I did. I thought I did.
Cyan.
Maybe a dark green.
Yeah.
Anyway, you enter the place. Within, there is a crowded office. There are piles of papers and maps pinned to the walls, showing the mostly surrounding southeasterly area of Westhead, but with red pegs all over the western side of the Wildlands. There are some wanted posters scattered over the desk. And seated behind the desk is a kind of a small, hairy but wiry man with a long, pointed nose. He is decked out in this totally badass getup. He looks quite different than his surroundings in style. He has these gold buttons on his leather jacket, perfectly cut to his frame. His hands are covered in rings, which look magical and strange. And spinning around his head is a floating crystal that orbits his cranium like planets around the sun. He strokes his goatee, perfectly shaven as you enter, and smiles. Ah, Draco. This is Ratlord himself, bedecked with the badges of his honors from his own mercenary company, with a kind of unique white-silver badge that only he wears. As someone looking very keenly at it might notice that he's very careful never to touch that silver badge. He nods at the enormous turtle that opened the door and says, "Don't mind my new bodyguard, Kusaya. Give them a little space, and take a note that we ought to tell the ugly goat to to clean up his office. He says, Draco, long time no see. How are you, my boy?
It's always a pleasure, Ratlow, and I'm sorry that I've been so long away. But I do have some developments in the Phantom Gang case, and I wanted to report to you now that I have it's within my means to do so. Also, may I introduce my associate? Her name is Akiri, and she was instrumental in my investigation.
She's gonna give a little curtsy. Hi.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Akiri. You look too young to be a member of the Swordwings, but I just had a meeting with one of those famous of your folk.
Was it Sezig? Because I know he's in town. We've met before.
Excellent. I didn't want to make any assumptions that you might know Mr. Lagaduke, but yes, I did meet with Mr. Lagaduke. He was interested in procuring our services in the hunt for a particular item. But yes, Draco, a debriefing might be in order, but why don't you give it to Ugly Goat when he comes by? I'm sure it was concluded satisfactorily.
Yes, I have a written report here with all the details, but I will, just to give you the long and short of it, if you don't mind. I assume you'd like to know.
Absolutely.
It turns out that this Phantom Gang was, and I say was very intentionally, associated with a man who, or a person who refers to themselves as Lou Koss, or rather, Koss apparently stands for kill on sight. And
I would not speak that name so freely.
Draco raises an eyebrow. Max, I guess I should clarify. Would Draco have already known about Lucas, or is this is he common knowledge, or is okay? Cool. I just want to make sure I'm not being dumb.
The literal opposite of common knowledge.
Got it. Draco raises his eyebrow, but he doesn't say anything yet, and he continues with the rest of the story. In any case, we were able to defeat the vast majority of the members of the gang, and those that we did not surrendered, or in one very unique case, a drow woman approached us after we defeated them, who we presume was the gang leader. She approached us and claimed to be the last remaining true member of the Phantom Gang, whose true machinations had nothing to do with Hugh, who apparently must not be named, but were rather more involved in the power struggles of this town. And apparently they lost their way and became obsessed with this person and their plans and their workings. And she claimed that she was the only one who still held true to the real purpose of the Phantom Gang. It's all there in my report. Further,
interesting.
Yes,
I shall read your report with great interest. There may be an opportunity here for us to recruit some new investigators.
Well, as of late, the Phantom Gang as a whole is now dissolved. So I do believe in regards to that as far as the gang itself is concerned, the case is closed. Now, as of course, their involvement with this individual of dangerous repute and what other plans they have for the city, I, of course, believe is worth further investigation.
Just a moment, please. Sweetheart, I'm playing a game.
There's a goblin afoot.
Can you go tell Ema? Or you want to come watch TV with me? You want to go show Ema your headband? Can I help you with something? What do you need, sweetie? What do you need? What do you need? Okay. You want to come down? Oh, okay. She wants me to sit over here, so we're gonna do that. Like this, Rosie? Is that better? Or here? You all the way down here? Yes. I think, no? Up? Alright. Okay. Okay. Sweetie, I don't know what you want. Sorry, guys. Having a bit of a meltdown. This was always the danger of playing later in the day.
This is all very reasonable content.
Yep.
Okay.
Want to watch Baby Shark with me?
Okay. Alright. Okay, go have fun. Thank you, Kate. Alright.
Last thing I said was that as far as the gang itself is concerned, the case is closed. But obviously, there are some more threads to investigate, given that their relationship with Lucas.
Good. I'm only in town for the afternoon. Normally you would be giving your report to Ugly Goat. But I've sent him off on a distantly related task. But yes, do follow up on these threads. I want to know how the matter of the Phantom Gang is resolved. The gangs in Westhead may not have direct bearing on the mercenary activities. However, the general politics of Westhead do. So there are more things you wish to wrap up. That will be fine. Now there's the other matter that I believe Mr. Rakvok spoke to you of.
Yes, of course. I am that is of highest priority to me, and
Good.
Perhaps. All I was going to say is that is, of course, a continual investigation on my part. There are. I have. You perhaps. I don't know why I say perhaps. For sure, you have heard of them. The adventuring group in town, the Wanderers.
The Wanderers. Yes, I do believe I saw a news item about them.
Yes, I have taken to assisting them in their. It seems that my goals and theirs continue to be aligned, as they are also quite interested in this individual that I had not previously known anything about. Though it appears that you do, which comes as no surprise. You're quite well informed on almost everything.
What's very interesting is that there have been no consequences for you in uttering these phrases out loud so freely. I wonder if it has something to do with the city itself.
Is
Or
there
who
some
rules it?
Is there some magical tie to the name?
When you're dealing with these sorts of individuals of great power, there often is.
I shall be. Oh, go ahead.
I would tend to utter such phrases or discuss them openly only in a lead-painted room, which of course our offices always are, but nevertheless, you can't be too careful.
Of course. I will advise my new compatriots to consider the same. I am rather taken aback, I must be honest, which is not something common there for me. I didn't fully grasp exactly what we were dealing with.
Yes, I've had a run-in with these people. Now, what I'm more interested in, and what I want you to pursue, we are going to, as these threads you are following up on are resolved and severed, I would like for you to please... bear in mind that all gangs report to a particular Thief King. And it is only by incredible work that our mercenary company does not fall among their number. I would like to find out, have you discovered in your investigation, I'll read the report of course, which Thief King the Phantom Gang reported to?
Y'all, did we get that? I don't recall.
Maybe.
Were they independent, or were they like Puck LeBlanc, or I don't remember any talk of them being part of a specific, or being under any specific Thief King.
It's definitely the Pirate Queen. I would think. They've got a lot of connections to her. AKA the person who we've been talking about this whole time. She's Puck LeBlanc. She's working with Lord Rothdal in something, but also maybe betraying him, etc., etc. And she's somehow involved in the disappearance of my father.
No, I can't say for absolute certain, but it is clear that the Phantom Gang had connections to Puck LeBlanc. So it would seem more likely that she was the one who had power over them.
Very good. That may have bearing on the other matter that Mr. Rakvok asked for you to look into.
Of course. It's always politics, isn't it?
Yes, even amongst Thief Kings.
Now, Ratlaw, if it's not too much to ask, given that, I just wrapped up the case of the Phantom Gang, I was wondering if perhaps I could ask a favor.
A favor?
Yes, in exchange for my typical fee, I would actually there is some information that me and my compatriots would like to. It would be very helpful for us in what we are, or the other goals we are trying to accomplish. And I know that no one knows the unknowable as you and our establishment does. So I wondered if perhaps any of your informants might have some information on some of the things we've been trying to investigate on our own.
Kosiah, take a note. Mr. Draco requests information and will waive his usual fee in the Phantom Gang matter. We can collect the full reward for the mercenary company. Proceed with your question.
Thank you.
The turtle, by the way, the big muscular turtle is like scribbling notes. He pulls a pad of paper out of his shell.
By the way, I'm giving up money for you guys, so you better appreciate this.
I know Akiri is very appreciative. She'll take you out for
also,
lunch or something.
I forgot to say this. When Akiri mentions that she knows one of the sword wings, Draco is going to look at her kind of impressed. But anyway, back to the present. Guys, before I dive into this, the main things we want to know about are the pyramid and well, that's pretty much it, right? It's mostly about that, right? Is there anything else I should ask about?
I mean,
Nothing
some amount of
springs to
confirmation
mind.
of our theories.
All right, that's fine. Yes. Okay.
This is out of character. We had discussed it beforehand, so it probably couldn't come up organically. I wonder if we want to pass off the stealing explosives back from potentially deadly terrorists onto someone else.
I don't know if Draco feels comfortable bringing that up to Rat Lord right now. That could be potentially problematic. So I think he'll focus on the information on the ziggurat. Well, this is a rather unusual circumstance, but one member of our
is in a mercenary company.
Oh, of course, especially one of our specific specialty. But one of my compatriots believes, due to certain magical communications, things that our knowledge of this nefarious being, and also his connections to Puck LeBlanc, that someone of great import to her is being held captive in the, quickly looking up what it's called, Uzak Pyramid. And we are aware that this pyramid is very sacred and heavily guarded by Lord Rothdal's forces. And so, of course, and he gives him a look that like is probably a familiar look. It's a I'm about to say things off the record look. Of course, I would never ask you to facilitate or assist in the clandestine investigation of said ziggurats in order to mount a highly dangerous rescue mission of someone's very important companion. And I certainly would not expect ever put it upon you to give me any sort of useful information or that would in any way... Actually, I'm just saying the same thing twice by accident. Delete that last part of what I just said. Draco's doing the whole thing in The Incredibles where he says, I'd like to help you, but I can't. He's doing that right now.
Continue with your question.
Essentially, do you have any information on the Uzak Pyramid that would be useful for us to mount a rescue attempt? Perhaps a map of its inner workings, a information on guard routes and patrols, or even if you've heard any word of someone being interred against their will within the pyramid's walls that might confirm our suspicions that our friend's companion is being held prisoner. Keep in mind that this does involve, and our suspicions on this are tied to Puck LeBlanc and this dangerous individual that we spoke of earlier. So we are pretty confident in our guess that he is being held there. But any extra information would be certainly helpful in mounting a rescue attempt.
Very interesting.
I think you can see now why I was willing to waive my fee for this.
As you were speaking, the shifty man is continually twitching, looking around the room, turning his ear as though he's hearing something that you aren't. looking from you to Akiri to his bodyguard, Kosaya, and he says several important points. One, we are a mercenary company. You do not swear loyalty to RII. You are free to work with whomever you choose and form whatever bonds you may discover. This is not an all-encompassing thing. This is a job. And I am perfectly happy to assist you if, in return for your waiving of your fee. It's only good for Rattlor's Investigations, Inc. to perform such a service. And number two, it is news to me that there is a connection between Captain LeBlanc, the Thief King, and that one you spoke of. That would be quite odd, for she has taken a writ of mark from the Duke of Westhead, and this would seem to be serving more than one master. These individuals, of which, let's call him Lord Koss, is one, have... He gets a little too close to your face, leaning forward, way kind of freakishly flexible as his feet are up on the desk. Leans forward and he says, they have city-destroying capabilities. And it would seem that the Duke might object to one he has allied himself with being in turn allied with this other individual. She may be playing some kind of double-blind game. Perhaps that could be utilized to prevent her killing you when you inevitably come into contact. Point number 3. The Ushzak Pyramid is a necessarily mysterious and enigmatic place, quite difficult to break into or investigate, shall we say. I would say that you should be careful. But more helpfully, I would certainly prepare to deal with the living dead, which you are no doubt clever enough to suss out on your own. Let me see.
Just a side note. I was going to say, when he says living dead, Akiri kind of ruffles her feathers uncomfortably.
He notices that. I know. When Mr. Ugly Goat returns, ask him to procure an Ushzak disguise for you. I'm sure he has more than one on hand. It would only behoove him to have such things, to have access to such things within the city of Westhead. But remember this. That will only get you so far. For the pyramid, as I have reason to know, is a dark, deadly, and tremendously dangerous place. And then we're going to cut to our team, who is going to who is right now casing that joint. So we are jumping to Breath, Vapos, Frasher, and Typha as you guys exit the city now. You guys will have a little bit of an interesting time when you get to one of the postern gates. On the northeastern side of the city, if you are looking at the Westhead map, there's this large gatehouse area over here. You're going to want to be exiting out of this gate and get on the road. There's a large paved, very unusual in the Wildlands, paved road that leads to the northeast from the city. In fact, it is lined with these tremendous columns, like torches or enormous lanterns. Perfect, were one to have need of such thing, for a grand funerary procession out of the city. Now, at the gatehouse, there are more of these tremendous guards, the Duke's agents, wearing the black scratched armor, their eyes burning blue in the sea mist. At this region of the city, the Duke's palace or fortress casts a literal shadow over this region. The tall towers of the keep just loom overhead, looking spiny with their peaked cone roofs, and there are odd lights within moving about, something unnerving about them, and the movement of the soldiers along the walls. It's quite heavily fortified, as you can see. The gatehouse, however, is also manned by people who are of the Order of the Sacred Bull, the standard town guards of Westhead. And they look quite unhappy, for the most part, being around these tall, armored folk. In particular, they will ask, when you guys seek to exit, if there are any of you have any warrants, active warrants, or have any of you signed any conscription agreements?
Nope, none of us are Westhead natives, and did a little bit of mercenary work against the Phantom Gang, and now we're heading out of town.
They will take note of the state of all of your peace bonding on your weapons. And they will go through, if none of you have other writs or papers to produce, they will go through their various papers and ask for your names. What names do you give?
I give my real name, Vapos.
I'm Breath.
Yeah, this isn't the subtle crew, so definitely giving real names.
Okay. I am going to ask Bref to roll a deception check as he spoke up immediately in response to their queries. Okay, based on that roll, Vapos, Frasher, and Typha, you guys immediately notice that Bref is sweating and kind of, itching his neck, and just kind of like doesn't know where to put his hands, kind of, and he's just like, none of us are citizens or have anything things like that. And they take a great interest in him, including the Minotaur, who is stamping your papers. And they also take notes. They take a close look at Frasher and Typha, who are rather unusual beings, and Vapos as well. All of you are rather unusual, and Bref is extremely nervous in answering no to their questions. Do you guys want to do anything as they are going through their files and checking the peace bonding on your weapons?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Say, Typha thinks their best excuse is to say,
We gotta go to the special pyramid place to bury our friend.
and she points at Frasher, who it's kind of the signal like, go ahead, take that body out of your back.
I was fully prepared to say that he had left that at the inn. Like, did we plan to just carry Ziklu around, like, from now on at all times?
You tell me.
Until there's jerky.
No, I would say that we don't have Ziklu with us, and you know that.
Okay.
I was just gonna say Vapos has no problem with them peace bonding. He does have an unstrung short bow, but he's got no problem with them peace bonding it.
Well, it was peace bonded when you entered the city.
Right. I sorry, I should clarify. He's not tinkered with that or anything. So.
Right. Of course, Typha and Frasher, if you guys had any peace bonded weapons, those have been used since then. So
What weapons?
yeah, I guess Frasher just summons your weapons. Typha has a weapon, though, I believe.
Yeah, but I've only turned it to a fancy snake. I haven't hit anybody with it.
Mm-hmm. Bref certainly has weapons that are now unpeace bonded. Bref, you gave your own name?
Yes, I gave my real name.
Okay. They find a record of a conscription agreement. About you. And they say you are going to you can't leave the city.
Oh no, see, that's only when I become a were-tiger.
The Minotaur says, he looms over you. He says, "Sir," even while seated at the desk, "Sir, we are at a time of war. You will need to report in to a recruitment team." We lost your voice.
Oh, that wasn't for you. That was at our shouting daughters.
He says, you cannot leave the city. You need to report to the nearest recruitment team. And he
Oh,
points a big
where is the
furry
nearest
finger.
recruitment team?
He points a big furry finger at the next door down, which has two of those tremendous armored figures surrounded by auras of palpable evil. And he says, you're going to need to go right in there. And he hands you a copy of your conscription agreement. He says, for the rest of you, those of you whose weapons are no longer peace bonded, you will need to pay the fee again when you enter the city.
What was the name of the guard captain who kind of conscripted us in the dungeon? The one who sent us down into the labyrinth?
I think you're thinking of Nuala?
Yes. I'm gonna lean in close to the Minotaur. Look, I didn't want to say this out loud, but we're actually on a special mission for Nuala.
Oh, it's elf. It's elf. So it's Nua La with an apostrophe.
Or
The
special mission for Nuala.
Mm-hmm. He says, Nuala. You mean Division Captain Quinzuman? Her last name's Quinzuman.
That's her, yes.
And he says, that's interesting. I have no records on file for Bref as a deputy. Do you have a badge?
This is a little, there are reports of things going wrong at the pyramid. People disturbing the rightfully buried and restful dead. It's something that Nuala wanted to keep quiet.
He looks
We didn't want... The city is already in unrest, and the last thing we need is people worrying about their loved ones, their ancestors, being disturbed. We're going there. Just look into these allegations and make sure that everyone is well taken care of.
I'm going to ask you to make a deception roll with a disadvantage.
So can Vapos help here? He'd like to pipe up and just say, yes, these sorts of things are best kept a bit more under wraps. Perhaps you recognize by their more distinctive features that these are members of the Wanderers adventuring party.
The bulb-headed man's eyes slide over to the black-clad troops, Duke's men, and back to you guys, and says, I suppose I could send a runner to ask Captain Nuala Quinzuman for more information. Alright, Vapos, with Vapos' assistance, it's going to be a straight roll.
Well,
He says,
That was always so good.
but in the meantime, perhaps you three should stick around as well.
Okay, Frasher's gonna try to intimidate him because this is going south.
Okay, so Frasher steps up to the...
Frasher is, remember, 7
6.5
feet.
foot
He's
tall.
like 7 feet tall. He's not
Frasher's
really
7 feet
wearing like a shirt. He's very obviously a freaky lizard man. And he's gonna use Tides of Chaos so that he has advantage on this.
I guess I forgot that Frasher was 7 feet tall.
Okay, so that's actually a really terrible roll, but he has a +7. So he's gonna step up and be like, "This is Bref. Bref killed all of the Phantom Gang. We need to go. There is no time."
I'm gonna have to ask you to stand back, Mr. Frasher. And he kind of nods his horned head, and several of the Order of the Sacred Bull members kind of step forward, stop processing other people who are trying to enter and leave. And the tremendous armored guys slowly turn their heads. But roll a D percentile die.
You're talking to me, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Split the baby in half, my dog.
Yeah, also, sorry my camera died. I don't know what's going on with it.
He says, I understand that this is an urgent matter. However, I am sending a runner. And he calls over a young boy and tells him to go to Captain Nuala Quinzuman's office and ask her to come here immediately. Or at least send a message about Breath and crew and the urgent mission. And as the blue-eyed, glowing-eyed, armored figures step forward, taking an interest in these proceedings, we're going to cut to the next group. So, yeah. Bella and Mavra, you are talking to Captain Sutherland. Have I got you guys?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Excellent. So, the dwarf and the half-elf are hanging around the bar, and you ask Clara when he might be coming by. She says, I don't really know, but he's often here of an evening around this time. And as if on cue, she kind of jumps and says, actually, you know what? He just walked in. And you turn to take in a very interesting character. Yes, sweetie? Oh, okay. She might have a diaper.
Oh boy, I just changed her.
Perfect timing. Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know why she's talking about diapers. Maybe she's telling me she has a new one. Hang on, let me pull it up. There we go. No, that's not it. Right. So, Captain Bernard Sutherland, kind of busts in the door of the tavern. And he seems to already be a little intoxicated. As people sometimes are as they come in. And he is a man with kind of thick, toned arms with that big forearm that a lot of sailors have, and a paunchy gut. He wears this loud green vest, and he has this sort of gray and violet